Hey, that Nelly 3-footer was pretty intriguing.
She made it. She made it. Made it very intriguing.
This is the LPGA Edge. And now your host with the cheat code, Kent Paisley.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the LPGA Edge. The 81st U.S. Women's Open just happened. Scottie Leonard was there at Riv. Scottie, how we doing?
Oh, good. I'm tired, but if I got to walk up that hill from 18 to the clubhouse one more time, I don't think I could make it today. So hopefully, and thank God there was no Monday playoffs like Tiger and Rocco used to play on USGAs. So I'm happy to be home. It was a short drive home, just about 40 minutes up the road. So happy to have an off week after a grueling, grinding week over at Riviera. But an awesome week, and hopefully all of our listeners and watchers and everyone that follows, LPGA really enjoyed that, because I think it was special, and I think maybe the best U.S. Open ever.
All-timer is an overused term in sports, but it's worthwhile here. Scottie, I think we have as much to get through in terms of content from the Open, as steep as that hill was, from the 18th green to the clubhouse. Nelly Korda bearing the lead here. 4th major championship. This is the one she wanted.
Yep.
She talked about it for a while. Frankly, I'm surprised there hasn't been as many comparisons to Rory as there may have been, because Nelly had that heartbreak last year.
Yep.
She talked about an impressor this year in the middle of the final round in contention, thinking to herself, will she ever win it? And now she's emerged. The first American megawatt superstar on the LPGA Tour in ages, in the 21st century at least.
Michelle?
Megawatt? Megawatt is the combination of marketability and results. Not to take a pot shot at Michelle. 6-time winner, superstar, not megawatt. There's some levels to this. And I think this is a watershed moment for the LPGA. Scottie, we're going to throw out the usual formula for us. We're not going to go giving you the inside edge. We're going to start with me calling for the ball about how important this moment is for the LPGA. And I think it's crucial for everyone to understand this. Like, this has been pulsating through my veins, how important this victory is for the LPGA. Sports is trickle-down marketing. Unlike Ronald Reagan's economic policies, it has to start from the top and go down. Right, you build off of that number one star, right? Nelly is the number one player for the LPGA and is marketable and is leaning into it. We talked after Chevron that Nelly's finally understanding, or embracing rather, that her play is not enough. She went on SportsCenter today. I am hoping, we are recording Monday afternoon, that by the time this posts, she'll have gone on multiple talk shows in LA. Because unlike when she won Chevron for her 5th consecutive title in 2024, and she was thinking of flying to LA and then backed out, she's in Hollywood's backyard. She has this opportunity to continue to market the tour. This is the 3rd time the LPGA has had Nelly in this multifaceted moment to market her. In 2021, she won KPMG for her first major title to become the world number 1, then won the Olympics. Molly Marcoux-Simon was just taking over as commissioner when Nelly won at the Olympics. The LPGA didn't really market her. Roberta Bowman was in charge on the marketing side at the time. They had another opportunity, 2024. Just mentioned, Nelly won 5 in a row. Capped it off with a major. Hadn't happened since like 50 plus years, right? What did the LPGA do with that? They had Matt Chamura in place in 2022. The tour put in a full marketing department in 2023. They missed. When Nelly won in Vegas, they had an opportunity to bring on her final round coverage early. They didn't get to her against Leona Maguire to win 4 in a row till like the 7th hole, and she was already 2 or 3 up. So in this moment, this is going to be how we judge Craig Kessler and Chad Coleman, the new commissioner, the new chief marketing officer. They have to capitalize on this opportunity for the tour to grow as a whole. Yes, purses have grown, but audience size? Not really. We talked about TV ratings at Chevron. They went down even though Nelly won. There were more fans at Riviera this year. I would imagine if Nelly was not in contention, there would be less. But everything comes from this moment Like, this is the crucial chance. And it's the third time the LPGA has had this at-bat with a Nelly Korda with multiple ways to market her. And this is how we're going to judge what the tour does. And not only in terms of Nelly's marketability, she's being embraced by other great athletes too. She said Tiger texted her to close it out. LeBron James is DMing her. She's being embraced by her fellow, arguably GOAT peers. It's the chance for the LPGA to market theirs like Caitlin Clark has been marketed with the WNBA.
No, that was good, and I think you're spot on. I just said earlier in the week, I did say I think it's actually more interesting if Nelly doesn't win. And the reason why is because I think we get into the Chicago Cubs can't win, or we get in the Boston Red Sox, and we get into this like story of like, will Nelly ever win one, right? And she answered that call, and obviously I do think part of the reason why this is such a historic win is you have to start at the venue itself. Because it's Riviera, because we know every hole. The guys play there every year. There's been so many great champions. Nelly talked about in a press conference walking in every day and seeing all the pictures and the statues of Ben Hogan overlooking the putting green. That matters, right? It's the reason why a lot of people still remember Allison's win, because it was at Pebble. As awesome as Maya Stark's win was last year at Erin Hills, I don't think most people know the golf course, right? And outside maybe hole number 18 and 9, because JT hit a 3-wood from 300 yards in their U.S. Open, probably most people don't know a lot about the golf course. You know Riviera, you know the stretch, you saw everyone when she came up 18, sitting down, that was made for Hollywood, and that was awesome. And obviously I've said it for a long time, Nelly's the star, right? Nelly leads our tour. She is the person that we need to lead us. And I think Nelly's done a lot better, and especially in the last 3 to 4 years, of asking for the ball, if you will, to use a pun of yourselves, and leading herself. I think we need more. We need someone to get up there and help her. But hats off to her, and hats off to the USGA, and hats off to Riviera. I thought all of them got right. I sent a message today to our commissioner, Craig Kessler, talking about how much of a home run it was. And he responded back that he's just proud of all of us for what we're doing. And, the scene there, envisions him to work harder. So your comment about Craig and Chad Coleman, I think, yes, this is, you couldn't paint a better picture of Nelly winning at 18 at Riviera in Los Angeles. Like, it is a perfect storm. And I hope that we can jump on the waves and it can bring us some great things about this game and about this tour that we love.
Nelly is the NVIDIA of the LPGA Tour stock market. She is carrying the tour right now. To what you said, she probably needs a couple people to come with her. But this was a dream setup to where Charley Hull has been a potential foil with her 5th runner-up in a major now.
Yep.
She's closer to the one asking whether or not she will break through to win her first major title. Probably between her and Nasahata Oka as best players without a major title on tour right now. But yeah, I think to what you said, to do it in this market too, that adds the venue adds. All these things have added up, and I don't know how big of a window this will be in terms of where do we see the LPGA growing from here, right? You saw, or Skip Bayless, of all people, tweeted about the LPGA Tour. That guy's a takesman and rarely does have takes. Granted, that 2 feet 10 inches. If it was 2 feet 11 inches, we're going to a playoff. Who knows what happens?
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I've been a part of 6 U.S. Opens now, and this is by far the best one. And because of the golf course, I think, because you start there. The USGA couldn't really mess the setup, and the golf course is perfect. And then the fact that we had that scene on Sunday, the crowds were great. Like, we even had people there when we teed off, before 7 in the morning, we had some people watching us and cheering for us, which was so cool. If you guys were really diehard and watched early morning, very early morning, West Coast time, featured group coverage, we were one of the first groups off Saturday morning with Lottie Woad. So, all of those things I think just made it really, really cool. And I can't overstate how important the venues are.
Yeah, this is the LPGA's biggest tournament. It delivered, using the Chevron again as a point of comparison.
Yeah.
There was just no one there at any point Thursday.
Yeah.
It was just empty. So it's nice to see Nelly deliver. We're learning that it's got to be the grip, not the shoes.
So I see what you did there. So shout out to Jess Korda, who helped her with her grip and changed midday through her round Thursday because she was in the LeBron James. Which, by the way, I did see Nelly and Jason on the putty green, and I asked them about the shoes, and she's like, they're the same shoes. They're just painted differently. So
I guess it's got to be the shoes.
But, when you're comfortable, you're comfortable, and she went back to those and played great for 3 days and ended up having a trophy. So, and from one shoe man to another, is it the shoes?
I've really been trying to pare down the number of pairs of shoes I have, Scottie. It's too much. It's too much. Before we head to our first break, I want to circle back a little bit, right? We talked a lot about the opportunity the LPGA has been presented. We're putting our marketing hats on now.
Yeah.
What does the LPGA need to do to capitalize on this moment?
It's hard. It's hard to say, right? I don't know if it's one thing or the other. I think you have to keep leaning into venues. I know I sound like a broken record, but it just matters so much. We're gonna now go from here, and no disrespect, but we're going to here. We go to Inverness next year. Like, all of those things matter because of the fact people know the golf course, they can relate, and you don't have just casual LPGA fans or casual women's golf fans out there. You just have golf fans out there because they want to go to the venue. Friday, the Curtis Cup takes place here in Los Angeles. I'm going to go because I know the golf course, right? So, number one, I think you got to keep routing us at really cool golf courses. Number two, you keep elevating purses because people, as small as that is, people notice when you're playing for 12 million versus when you're playing for 2 million over in ShopRite. Like, that just matters, and the quality of fields are just going to be different. So, we need those events, but we also need to keep raising those so there's a floor. And I don't know after that. That's why I get paid to just carry the golf bag and not have a marketing ad. I think that's a question more for the casual fans, and what would entice them to support us more, to buy tickets more, to watch us more on TV. Obviously, we're working on the broadcast. And so I think just continuing to prove all of those things.
I think it involves leveraging Nelly to get more, and her star power, which she has acquired through her success, to get more changes, right? We'll talk about the schedule again, but that might be the one topic we've hit on every single episode on this show. Using... like saying, hey, this is where Nelly could play in this type of setup versus, if you're this compressed, you're going to miss certain events. For Nelly, right, now that she's acquired this, she will have more, I think we talked about this at the draft, she'll have more power to leverage the WTGL into a mixed TGL.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a big boon. I think we're seeing like the Grant Thornton Invitational really pay off. Where that's going to be a massive boon is at the Olympics back at Riv in 2028. And now Nelly's made that a talking point for when she potentially pairs up with Scottie or whomever else that she is a tandem with. I think the world would have to fall apart for Nelly to not qualify for the Olympics with how
She
well
might already
she's playing.
be qualified.
She's already qualified for the Solheim Cup. So I think that's where it's okay. There's some newfound leverage for the decision makers on the LPGA. It's great that Craig responded to you and in some ways recognizes that in his response. It'll be fascinating to see what the LPGA can do, be it, maybe increasing purse sizes if Nelly's on the ground or other, smaller things that help the players travel better, make it easier on the grounds. Caddy showers for you, Scottie.
Hey, listen, love that.
When we come back, we'll talk about the secondary characters out at Riv because it was almost a playoff out there, Scott.
The Edge dives deep into the cheat code on our YouTube channel. Check the show notes for our video content that gives you the insight from top players that you can use to become a better player and enjoy golf even more.
Scottie, many people in the LPGA talk about venues mattering, and Riviera is absolutely a venue that matters. On TV, it played like a true test, which what a lazy phrase to say, but it seemed to demand so much of everyone. Like Nelly won because she survived out there with her scrambling and made a crucial putt on the 71st hole to get a birdie from, again, up and down. From you being there, how did Riviera play?
I mean, as good but as fair as possible. You hit good shots off the tee and get it in good places. You could take advantage and hit, not wedges, but 9-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron to some pins. But you start missing the fairways, and man, it's really hard to make 5. 2 played so hard all day. They moved it back, played off the back tee last 2 days. Obviously, people know 1, that iconic tee shot on the par 5 and pretty short par 5. But after that, there's not an easy birdie for the next 17 holes. I mean, obviously, 18 plays really hard up that hill, and you get blocked out right. Wind was kind of, came the last day, Sunday, the wind was probably up the most. Nelly talked about that in her press conference. So it was just a fair test, and it demanded so much of ball striking, like a ball striker's paradise, if you will. I think that's one of the reasons why we were able to survive, just because, I think it's probably my boss's strength in ball striking, and figuring out ways to get up and down when you missed it, because you can easily start making 5 and 6s in places where you don't want to be. And just an all-around really tough test for everybody. We hit every club in the bag this week. There was no just bomb it and figure it out. It was very strategic. And so, I think that's exactly what you want, and I think that's what the USGA was going for.
Some of the strategy I really enjoyed seeing was when you hit an approach shot, if it hit the green, it flew. If it hit the fringe right in front, it just caught it. It was such a demanding calculation.
Yeah, right. And when it's downwind and it's firm, you can't afford to, pitch it 10 on, because then it's probably over the back and probably on those greens the worst place to be. Yet, if you don't hit the front, then you have this weird 4 or 5 yard chip on the Kikuya. You don't really know how it's going to come out. Your blade can get stuck. And so, it's very, very demanding to hit the front of the green without being too long and firm to go over. So, and then just a side note I thought number 12 was probably the firmest green all week. It's probably the hardest fairway to hit. I don't know. I know one of the days it played the hardest. I didn't look at all week. That tee shot's so hard, and then you still probably have a 7-iron, 6-iron. Sunday, I think we hit 8, but there was absolutely no wind when we played on Sunday. We had 8-iron and barely covered the bunker, and it's still kind of trickled all the way to the back. So, it's just so hard and, fun. Like, you enjoy that challenge for 4 days, and I'm glad that probably won't happen to have a challenge like that for the rest of the year, because it mentally takes a lot out of you.
Scottie, I'm glad you got to the point it was fun, because I'm not going to reference your text messages during the week where the sentiment may not have been fun.
Yeah. Well, you lose sleep thinking about, pin locations and things like that. So I'm just glad it's over. But I tell you what, if Riv wants to host us again, sign me up. I'm in.
I would hope so. To give a little bit more context of how demanding the course was before we dive into some of the other players' results this week, Paige McKenzie, once again cited on this podcast, had this really enlightening tweet about what part of each game accounted for how much of strokes gained percentage out there on the courses. So last year, the majors were putting contests. Strokes gained putt accounted for 52% of all strokes gained total as a percentage in the 5 majors last year, versus this year at Riv through Saturday, putting was 31%. So that's a huge drop off to where approach shot was 38 there. It was 21%, nearly half last year, which is why I'm not surprised that Nelly, where putting, it's acceptable putting, but it's the worst part of her game, I would say,
sure,
allowed her to find her way to the top, because she's not going to win a putting contest, nor do I think it's valid. Like, golf shouldn't be putting contests. And in some regards, seeing these tweets, I was like, no wonder there were so many like first time winners last year, because it's a putting contest is a dice roll, right? Like, you hit a putt, not every putt is even. Like, the grass changes, there's certain bumps on the ground. It's arguably the least controllable part of one's game.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think a steady mix is good. I think a good test that we get, 5, 6, 7, 8 under par is good, and I think some weeks where you have to shoot 21, 22, 23 is good. Like, you got to be ready out of the get go to do anything, right? Like, we'll go not this week at Dow, but at Dow they will shoot nothing. But
It's a team event.
then we go to Meyer, which you feel like if you don't shoot 4 under a day, you have no chance, right? With what, 4, 5 par fives? So I think it's all good mix. I do enjoy the hard test of a U.S. Open. To your point, I mean, still Mayo won last year at Erin Hills at 7 under. So, I mean, pretty spot on. Obviously, I know the cut was 1 over, maybe, off the top of my head. And this year was 4 over. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm with you. I think this was the most proper test that I can remember in a long time for the USGA.
Scotty, I got Mel Reed on my team, rising Golf Channel analyst star. She talked about during the pre-show about the LPGA needs more tests like this. And I would tend to agree. You're right. I just think the LPGA leans more towards not a total birdie fest, but like the 15 to 20 unders to win versus the 7 to 8 unders to win, where when you're watching, par is like a real good score versus in those 15 to 20 under events, like par is like, oh, okay, it feels less earned, and it's fun to have these like grinded out, especially in majors type of tournaments.
Again, I think we need a little bit of both. Like, I would argue, like, Evian's not really a grinding spot, right? Like, I think you can pretty much go low there, right? If you're hitting it good, you can be very aggressive. Obviously, you never know what type of weather you're going to get when you go over there in the summer. But the variety is good. Variety allows for different types of winners too. There is some golf courses where, I don't want to, but we talked about it when we played poker. Like, a Yamashita is going to really struggle here because she's going to have too many hybrids into the holes in the course of 4 days when Nelly's hitting 8-iron. Like, that's just really, really difficult to compete with. So again, I think a good mix is good. I do like the challenge in the U.S. Open, but I don't think we necessarily need to make it harder or have more tests. If anything, I think that's what makes this week so special and different, because it is the U.S. Open, so it's going to be such a hard test. I don't think anyone would want to sign up for this for week to week.
No, I don't think you would want it week to week. I think it's just the pendulum is a little bit too much, in my opinion, on the heavier birdie side versus getting a couple more events where it's lower.
I think it comes down to fans and what people want to watch, right? Do you want to watch a bunch of 4-footers for par, or do you want to watch people make birdies and eagles? I would rather watch birdies and eagles.
I want par to matter.
Well,
par is a good score.
I think I would much rather watch Scottie hit irons to 4 feet than Scottie hit it to 8 feet and 2-putt. 18 feet and 2-putt.
Hey, that Nelly 3-footer was pretty intriguing.
She made it. She made it. Made it very intriguing. Yes.
She really did. The 2 players that were 7 under in the clubhouse that were going to a playoff with her, which, by the way, what a fun layout that would have been. 10 then 18. In some ways, I'm a little sad it didn't happen. But Charley Hole, Gaby Lopez. Charley set a 36-hole weekend scoring record in U.S. Women's Open history, tying Meg Mallon, 65-67, to get into 7 under. Made an incredible... both players made really good putts on the final hole to get there. And I feel like Gaby Lopez is the player that's most likely to be forgotten of this trio. But I was just thinking to myself, headline, Gutsy Gaby, if she pulls out this win. That birdie on the 72nd hole, to know you needed it to have a chance.
Yeah.
An excellent approach shot. And then just without a doubt, sometimes in those moments you think, I'm not in a player's head. It's just human emotion to think they would be nervous in that instance. Gaby trying to be the first Mexican to win, getting a laudatory tweet from Hall of Famer Lorena Ochoa for her efforts. But that putt just rolled in, perfect pace, maybe would have gone a foot past. Scottie, what were you most impressed by both Charley and Gaby?
Yeah, so I stayed with Will Davidson, caddies for Rose, who played with Charley on Saturday, and he came home back to the Airbnb, and he just talked about how it was one of the better rounds of golf he's been and seen in a long time, just because he said literally she just hit it close all day. Like, she was just firing at the pins and hitting it to 7-8 feet and canning them, right? And he's like, we both played good. She just made a lot of putts and hit it close all day. It was very flawless round of golf from Charley on Saturday, which then I think jump-started her into Sunday to kind of know what she needed. And then the Gaby thing this is interesting now, as a player who's kind of revamped her schedule and the way she approaches things to really center around the 5 majors, right? Like, she took some time off, and now she probably take even more time off with the schedule. But yeah, she went to Riv. She said she spent some time at Riv. She stayed on property this week. Had a lot of people, that she had befriended and the staff, and obviously she talked about how they all kind of bonded over the Mexican language and kind of some place where she felt at home, and someone that prepared really, really, really hard for this week outside of, I think, probably how she normally prepares for a golf tournament. And to see it pay off was really cool. And yeah, those holes aren't easy coming down the stretch. To get that number right on 18 is so hard. I'll go back to, when she hit it left on Saturday and she had to hit the hybrid up by the bunker and then get up and down. I mean, that's unreal. I don't even know if I'd have the guts to let my player hit hybrid there, because that could have went anywhere. And even Bones said that on the telecast. So hats off to him. I would tell you this. I was sitting mostly with the European caddies in the clubhouse watching it, and it seemed like a lot of people are rooting for Charley down the stretch, because there seems to be a sentiment that she deserves one of these and she's going to get one of these, and it wasn't to be, obviously. But, also, too, they talked about it. There's a massive scoreboard on 17 green, and so you know exactly where you stand and what you need to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, Charley now has 5 runner-ups in majors.
Yeah,
yet to claim her first one. That's a lot. And her caddy was the Juggun Lee 6 when she won the U.S. Women's Open in 2019. So has major winning experience on the bag there and understands what it takes.
Adam Woodward.
There we go. Big man Adam. Good guy. Like talking with him back in the day. Scottie, to pivot to you. You were on Featured Groups coverage this week.
Correct, yeah.
Bones was great on the telecast. What was it like having the cameras follow you all 18 holes?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really even know it off the gate, because they didn't tell us anything on the range or anything, and then all of a sudden, you notice these cameras are there, and there's someone announcing you 80 yards up, and so I really didn't even help them out or tell them anything until we got to hole 4, and I noticed, and then I started flashing clubs for them. But yeah, it was cool. Obviously, 2 former number 1 amateurs in the world with Ingrid and Lottie. So I think that probably had a lot to do with it. People know the names. People have followed their careers. It wasn't necessarily great golf from anyone, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's just cool to be part of that. And yeah, to be able to look back and be like, caddied at U.S. Open at Riv, and it was on camera is really, really cool.
Yeah, I got a text from the boss man, Scott, about how cool it was to see you in action.
Oh boy! Hopefully he was impressed.
Who would not be impressed with you? But I got a text from a different caddy. I'm sorry, Scottie. I talked to other caddies.
I see that.
I know, it's a little tough. Who was watching the telecast, and they made an accurate point about, as the LPGA is expanding its broadcasting, they don't have enough broadcasters yet who understand the tour. The way they were calling the shots, everything was perfect, and it was not. There was not. It's kind of classic when you're a broadcaster who's new, or even a new podcaster. You lean on what's called crutch words. And so perfect was a crutch word. Even if the shot got out to 40 feet or ran off the green. Oh, what a perfect shot. Granted, these are the best players in the world as an incredibly demanding course, but not everything is perfect, and it made it a tougher listen. It would have been nice to, again, it's just a challenge because you've got to build up broadcasters, right? You've got to put them in spots. Featured groups is where you naturally would. And on a smaller note, understandably, they didn't have a commercial inventory for feature groups coverage. Would have been nice to maybe mix up the graphic. It was just, we'll be back later. Like, you knew who the groups were. You could have put up the 2 sets of groups. You could have mixed up the headshots. That's really in the weeds, but it's a growing opportunity for the U.S. Women's Open, as I'm sure feature groups coverage will remain, with trickle-down marketing starting with Nelly Korda's rise.
Yeah, no, I think every Thursday morning, so the main reason why I'm an ESPN Plus customer is so I can watch. And a lot of times, as someone that wants to see, you can probably get more out of that than watching the main broadcast, because there isn't necessarily someone always talking over it. There isn't painting the picture. It's just like natural watching caddies and players attack the golf course, and listening to some of the conversations is really cool.
Yeah, and when we come back from our final break of this episode, we're going to stay in LA because, Scottie, you may have noticed the U.S. junior team was there watching because the Curtis Cup, right in its backyard. We'll talk a little bit about the success of the AMs here on the LPGA Edge.
The Edge lives on our website, which has all our content that gives you the cheat code. Find us on the web at golf.theedge.show or click the link in our show notes for your cheat code.
Scottie, the next big event in women's golf is also in Los Angeles.
Hey.
Curtis Cup. This upcoming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the team was on the ground at the U.S. Women's Open watching at the end. They had the really nice photo of them on the staircase, and for copyright reasons, I don't know if I'll be putting that up on the screen while I'm talking about it. But we don't have the budget yet.
Not yet.
But some really impressive amateur play, highlighted by a low end. Kiara Romero, T6, 3 under, in these conditions. Ridiculous. Gets 2 leap points, which stands for something that is too long to explain. But it's the LPGA system, the LPGA Elite Amateur Pathway. Not to joke about it too much. But it's how the LPGA allows top AMs to bypass Q Series.
Okay.
Lottie Woad was the first player to get through the Elite program. It takes 20 points, which is earned through a variety of ways. You get 2 for a top 25 finish in a major. Last time I checked, top 10 is inside 25. So Romero now has 16 points. If she holds on to the number 1 spot as the top AM in the world at the beginning of August, she'll get 4 more points. She'll have the 20 cha-ching LPGA card. Scottie, what were you most impressed by the amateurs this week?
Oh, just their play, right? Like it was fun to watch them play. Farrah O'Keefe was out there, played well, who, played really good at Chevron. Lit it up for the first couple days. I know struggled on Sunday, but as expected, 4 days of major championship play is really hard. Obviously, what Kiara Romero did, down the stretch to win low am, like you said, that number in these conditions without having a whole lot of probably experience on playing on a golf course like this, very, very difficult. Looked like she putted really well if you dive into the stats. And then obviously Ashrik Talley on Saturday morning went out and shot a really, really good one. I think she's committed to Stanford. I think we'll see if she goes. Aphrodite Dang, the real 16-year-old, played really good, who had John Wood on the bag. For those that don't know, caddied a long time for Matt Kuchar. Now helps Bones out in NBC with the broadcast. So, California boy wasn't passing up a chance to work Riv. So yeah, they've just been really, really impressive. All those people that I just named will be playing on the USA team this weekend. So like double duty for them. in LA over at Bel-Air, so excited to watch. This is USA versus just Great Britain and Ireland. The rest of Europe plays in what they call the Palmer Cup later down this summer. But yeah, it'd be really, really cool to see if Kiara Romero can hang on and get the card as of Lottie did. I think there's only two other people that would have got the card through this program, and that would have been Leona Maguire and Lydia Ko. I know Ingrid probably would have been close, but she skipped Palmer Cup 3 times. So there's that. But super excited to go out there and watch the AMs play against Great Britain Island on a really awesome course. And this is kind of like the Walker Cup for the lady side. So like you get to walk in the fairways, you get to kind of be close to the action. So super looking forward to that.
I like that the bar for the LEAP program is so high. I mean, all 3 players who would have qualified have won on the LPGA.
Yeah.
And Lottie obviously did it pretty quick here with last year being her rookie season. I think there's a lot of value to that. Scottie, you going to go out and watch them out at Bel-Air?
Friday morning, I'll be walking the fairways, baby.
There we go.
Why? Yeah, of course.
Scouting for some future, players to caddy for at Q Series.
I just love the game, and have dedicated my life to the women's side of golf, and happy to be part of it, happy to talk about it, happy to be in it, and I think they need the support just like if it was a men's event.
Speaking of loving the game, we're going back to our favorite topic. Schedule watch. There's no budget for animation,
We need
but that would have been great.
Schedule watch.
We really do. We really do. I didn't think about this till after the tournament, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who was locked in on U.S. Women's Open. But we got 2 tournaments, then 3 majors in 4 events.
Yeah.
You know what makes majors major? Their scarcity. You put them all in one compressed time frame, which I understand that the British and the Evian will, generally speaking, be within 2 out of 3. You'll have the Scottish mixed in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Just you don't want to ask players to go over to Europe twice in the season, though they will for the Solheim Cup this year. A few Americans and Europeans anyway.
Yeah.
But to have the women's PGA so close to this, it just takes it away. I mean, even just think about it from our perspective. What are we going to talk about in our majors poker as I try to win 3 in a row to start the year? I knew that
was coming.
The subtle brag had to come in at some point. The fact that it's over a half hour in is kind of a victory in and of itself for you. But I do think we talked a lot about going to Asia twice in a year. Because of how compressed the season has to be, given those 2 trips, it lends itself to the majors being a little bit tight too. I don't know where else you might be able to put the women's PGA, but considering the Solheim is in September, International Crown, which is on the other years, is earlier in the year. But it would be nice to be like, okay, we have the U.S. Women's Open bordering May and June. You'll have the Evian and the British the next month. Maybe it's late August. Maybe it's early September. You could space out the women's PGA because the Evian used to be in September, which way too hot.
Yeah.
The course is burnt out at that point. But I just, it's easy to point. I think we say that every time too. It's easy to point and say things are tough.
Yeah.
But like, part of the reason Nelly's Nvidia stock will rise is you can talk about the U.S. Women's Open victory for a few weeks here, right? Whoever wins the women's PGA, that's going to get overridden so quick because you're on to the next major.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult, and like we talked to in before, there'll be players that won't play again until Evian, right? Because like what's for a player that's in everything, that I probably would rather get to Europe early and start prepping for Evian versus going to play the 2 events in Michigan, right? It's just another trip. Certainly, if you're European, you'd probably almost think about going to, Evian early. So, it does feel like they're almost compact and on top of each other, and we lose stories and we lose the fallout because we already start thinking about the next one. And obviously, in talks with Craig, this has kind of been what he has talked about as the biggest challenge is fitting all these pieces to find an ideal schedule. It's not fitting that we go to Asia 2 times It's not fitting that these majors are all on top of each other. It's not fitting that we route some of the places that we go and, cross the country to get place to place. That all needs to be fixed. It's just so much easier said than done because sponsors, golf courses all have the dates they want. And so it's a major entanglement. But I'm thinking we'll get better, and I hopefully, not only is the routing better, but also too, let's space out these majors, because I'm not so scared to go into September or August with football, because I don't think we're losing viewers because of football. Like with like the PGA Tour obviously wants to finish in before September. I think it would be okay for us to play a major in September.
I think it'd be easier too if you get rid of that second Asia swing. So there's just so much momentum lost with it.
Yeah.
Here's the schedule. June 25th to 28th. Women's PGA Championship back at Hazeltine, which hosted in 2019. July 9th to 12th. Next tournament. Evian Championship. July 23rd to 26th. Scottish. July 30th to August 2nd. AIG Women's Open. And even though we just talked about, some players maybe will stay over in Europe, they'll be out of the country for a month if they choose to do so and play all 3 events. Or even just play 2, in which case you play Evian, you fly back, a week and a half later you're going back to Europe again.
Yeah.
That's just... I'm tired saying those words out loud.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Substituting, 24 to 30 plus hours of flights depending on where you are in the country.
For sure. Yeah. And so like you fly back, let's say on Monday, you're probably not getting your feet grassed till Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you probably got to fly back on Saturday, right? So it's like, is flying across the country, across the world really worth it for 4 days? I don't know.
And
right? Everyone will make their own determination, but
Nelly might be the only one now with her another major championship banked that could decide to take a private jet. The players fly commercial.
Yeah.
So, they don't have that luxury either to make it an easier flight.
But still, even with that said, right? You're still in a different time zone. You're still going through the hassle of packing a bag, and you're away from home, so it's still not ideal. And yeah, I hope it gets fixed. We got to start with the Asia thing, and then go from there.
A final take.
Also, I think we need a real playoff system. I think some more domestic events on the back end of October into November, and we could have a true playoff system. I think would be good.
Instead of just seeing me at the end, you'd want to have a set of events to build up to it.
Correct. And long story here, but the idea that Nelly and whoever is ranked 60 on CME are going to compete for the Tour Championship is crazy to me.
How many people would you want in the final field?
I think 30 to 40 is good.
Okay, it's pretty reasonable. Adding on to
seems like a lot.
It is. You're not wrong.
Okay.
You're not wrong. Adding to our wish list of schedule changes. I've got a take after watching Riv and talking about the importance of marketability. The LPGA needs to take the Chevron, which is a major influx. I understand they signed a contract with Memorial Park. Yeah. I understand they built a kiddie pool with the endeavor to make an actual lake/pond for next year. But considering this tournament just isn't rooted anywhere yet, first, a major, could be any of the U.S. ones, frankly, but a major annually needs to be based in either Los Angeles or New York for the marketability of that tournament. Because while they are competing with numerous sports teams and numerous other things to enjoy, the opportunity to go on talk shows, I know I say this a lot, even in a market where talk shows are not doing as well as they used to do, it's a necessity to promote the tour to get players onto these bigger airwaves. And you're in these markets, you go on Good Morning America. It doesn't have to just be Jimmy Kimmel Live, right? I just think it would be a boon for the LPGA's marketability to get out of Texas. I know I made the choosing Texas joke before, but there was no fanfare this year. I understand it takes time for a tradition to take hold, but right now I was just so much more impressed by the fanfare at Riviera. Granted, U.S. Women's Open, bigger cachet of a tournament, but I think getting a major in one of those markets would just be a major benefit to the LPGA.
I couldn't agree more. As a proud LA County resident. I could not agree more. And that's, I think, what made Palm Springs really special with A&A, right? Is like you had everything. So,
well, you had the tradition because you were there for 50 years. You had an excellent finishing hole, which matters. You got the lake to dive into, which allowed for the pond to happen, and the pond thing made sense in Palm Springs because breaking news, it's hot there. You wouldn't want to take a rinse after.
I just think like we didn't need to move it.
They needed to for money reasons, and the fans were dropping off a bit.
Okay. Well, where would you like to see this major played?
I don't need to pick the course. I just said
pick
either
one.
or.
Pick one.
Go back to Riv. Give us a call. There you go. Easy.
I'm in.
It was nice to see the first time I've seen a player's name get chanted in a long time at the end of this tournament when Nelly won.
I agree.
And if there's a theme of this episode, Scottie, how does the LPGA incorporate those chanting fans into their fan base going forward?
You gotta go where
exciting to see. Gotta go where they're at. Gotta bring them in. Scottie, thanks for listening, man. Always good chatting. We'll talk after Dow.
Okay.
We'll take a look at the Solheim Cup because friend of the show, Allison Corpuz, made a leap. Top 10 finish.
It's going up.
Clip that. You come on the LPGA Edge, you finish top 10 in a major. I think that was it. No practice needed.
Clearly. So I mean, she's coming on before every major now.
That's asking a lot.
Okay.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you.